Whatever. Hi, welcome to Whatever. I'm Dragon Pat.
I'm Alex Street.
And today we're going to talk about some old time disaster movies. Well, one of them. Now, let's start out with I love disaster movies.
Me too.
My mom, my family, I've grown up watching disaster movies, loving them. I remember watching some, you know, there's just something about watching major areas getting wiped out.
Yeah.
It just, okay, I get a kick out of it. And sometimes, let's face it, you kind of root for the disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, some of what makes some of these other shows so amazing is the disaster. For example, I don't know about you, but personally, in Independence Day, when we got to see the White House go boom, yes.
And New York. I'm sorry.
New York getting toasted, another great thing. Los Angeles getting toasted, I like this. Well, the disaster movie that we're going to talk about today is an old one. It came out, oh shoot, go look that up. When did it come out? We're looking on the date, but meanwhile, the name of the movie in question is Volcano. I believe Volcano, which stars Tommy Lee Jones, came out in the 90s, I want to say. He's looking.
1997.
1997. Now, several years before you were born. What, 6 years?
Quite a few years.
6 years. So, 6 years before he was born. We can't see the. You need to. There you go. Need to see if he's still on film. 1997. Tommy Lee Jones brings us the story of a volcano showing up in the middle of L.A. And this was fantastic. I'm not positive on the science behind it, but who cares? I didn't go to this show just to see the science. I went to this show to see
LA getting toasted.
LA get toasted. And this show does a good job of toasting LA. What you have is the idea, the science behind it, whether it's right or wrong, is there are fissures all throughout California. We know this part is true. We get the San Andreas Fault runs straight down the center of California. Well, what happens if a fissure breaks open enough to allow magma to come up? Magma, when it hits the surface, is called lava. Lava forms volcanoes. And you get a volcano coming up, and it starts in the, what's the name of that mud pit? The La Brea tar pits. And the heat that actually keeps the tar pits moving does come from a fissure. So this fissure breaks open enough that you start getting magma coming up. And it comes up, and it slowly and eventually finally breaks out, and you get an eruption. This movie was, number one, fun. I enjoyed watching how they tried to direct the flow of lava and try to contain it. And some of what they've talked, the ways they attempt to do this, has actually been shown to be works. Iceland, which is one of those countries in the world that actually deals with volcanoes on a daily basis almost, has used a method of dumping water on lava to freeze it up. so that they could turn it solid so it would stop. And they've learned to control somewhat the power of the volcanoes that surround them. No, they do not have complete control. They cannot map, well, we're going to have the volcano run down this street right here, and we're going to have it go to the left. Nah, we're not talking something like this. But they have been able to control to some degree the flow of the lava. Now, Hawaii, another place that has a tendency to have to deal with volcanoes quite regularly, not been able to work this out as well. Volcanoes destroy lots of property every year all around the world. And in those two areas, they do it regularly. A volcano is one of the most destructive natural phenomena on the earth. And I'm not trying to make light, and I'm not laughing at those of you that live near one. Although I would like to ask you, why do you live so close to a volcano?
Yeah, wait.
I mean, it's like living in New Orleans. I'm sorry, but when you look up to see the ships go by, you might want to think about living in a different area.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my own personal preference. But then my same preference sits back and says, I ain't living in L.A. You got volcanoes. You got earthquakes regularly. And I have lived in L.A., and I can tell you, it isn't fun. I can remember one time as a kid, I was walking to school when an earthquake hit. It's kind of weird, because at first you think, what's going on? You think something's wrong with you, because everything's just going topsy-turvy. No, it's not you, it's the world. And that is a unique experience. And quite honestly, not something that you crave to do again. Now, it also led to the fact that while we lived in L.A., my family used to make a joke out of the fact that I could sleep through an earthquake, because I did. Not the time I was going to school, of course. That was a different earthquake. And when I look at places to live now, L.A. is not on the list. L.A. is not on the list for several reasons, not just their politics, but the fact that I would have to be fighting a politician and the earth, not my cup of tea. But L.A., because of their politics, is one of the reasons why I love watching it get nuked.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about something that can take out California, okay, yeah, we hear all the time about how California's going to get taken out by an earthquake. So the earthquake explosions are kind of, been there, done that, no t-shirt necessary. But bringing in the volcano was cool.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones does a great job, as always. He's a very good actor. And if you haven't seen it, definitely go out, rent the movie, buy the movie, whatever you want to call it, download it from your favorite streaming service, watch it. If you find it, get a chance to see it, definitely go see it.
Yes.
Especially if you love good disaster movies. And this one was fairly good. And worth your time, worth your effort. I definitely would put it in my probably my top 10 disaster movies of all times.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't include Independence Day as a disaster movie, although it did make me laugh when it blew the crap out of.
Yeah, it did take out.
It took out L.A.
Yeah.
It took out Washington, D.C., which was also a really good one.
Yeah. Just watching New York go.
But if you haven't seen it yet, please go see it. It's worth the effort. It's a classic, 1997. What else would you like to say about it?
I liked it. It's fun.
Hey, he enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Now give yourself a chance. Go watch it.
Though I like seeing California getting roasted. Let's just put another disaster. Click.
Now, what would you say is your favorite scene from it?
Probably when the volcano showed up.
when it
With all
actually
the...
started spewing.
Mhm.
Let's see, what one of my favorite scenes? I think my favorite scene would be the subway tunnel
Mhm.
where the train, where they run it, when they're trying to rescue the train,
Yeah.
the subway, and they look in the front of it and they see the lava coming toward them.
Mhm.
Now, mind you, the main character there is the head of the subway who's been worried more about his profits than anything else throughout all this movie, and it's like, oh no. And I kind of enjoyed that. Granted, he does redeem himself at the end. He saves that driver even though it kills him.
Mhm.
And he knows it's going to kill him. That's an intense act of bravery.
Yeah.
Now, the other scene that I thought was fantastic is when we lowered the camcorder down.
Yeah.
Number one, this is a camcorder that is huge. I mean, we're talking a big monster. And they lower it down on a rope with connected to their video camera up top. And as the camera's panning, and you look one way down the tunnel, the sewage tunnel, and you see nothing.
Mhm.
And then it slowly rotates around, and you see this wall of lava coming at them.
Whoa.
And then it wipes it out.
Mhm. My favorite part is at the end where they made the tunnel to the water.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, there's some good scenes in this movie. And they didn't go PC on you. The closest they came to PC on this is in the very end when the little boy is asked where his mother is, and he's like, everybody looks alike because they're all covered by the ash. And it was good.
Yeah.
So, Volcano 1997, worth the time, worth the effort. Go rent it, buy it, whatever you need to do. Watch it, and then leave us comments. Tell us what you think about it. Tell us if you liked the way it. Now, if you're going to sit there and you want to criticize all the science in it, don't waste my time. If you want to sit there and tell me how the science was interesting and how you enjoyed it,
Okay.
go for it. Now, this has been Whatever in our discussion of Volcano. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button notification. We are trying to put out more episodes every week. Our goal is to get at least 6 episodes out this week and every week from now on. We're going to try. We hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe and help support the idea of us doing so. If you have ideas for topics, send them to us. He reads the comments, and not as consistently as I wish he would, but he does try to keep up with it. And let us know. If you've got comments you'd like to make on the show, the way we do things, let us know. If you want to sit there and say, well, you're an ugly old man, go ahead, let us know. You know what I'll tell you when you say that? When he tells me somebody called me an ugly old man, you know what I'm going to say? And? The point is, whether I'm ugly or not,